Hello. So, don't mind the background noise, neighbors mowing their lawn. So, we're just gonna have to deal with that for a hot minute. So, I have here a Nortel Media Gateway 1010. So these ones are a rack mount chassis. And it can hold about 10 cards over here, along with the MGC gateway unit, Media Gateway unit controller, and then we have the Media Gateway controller. Two different things. This controls the chassis, this does all the voice and the TDM conversion for the rest of this. It can also hold two CPPM cards for, server cards, which is actually very nice and I like a lot. So that's why I have this, because this is basically your core side. These are just additional local cards. So yeah, I also have a Media Gateway 1000 that I'm going to be using to get for various places for actual hardline phones. So already in here I have the MGC and two universal trunk cards. The reason I don't have any of my CPPMs in here yet are they're currently out with a friend. They're getting fixed up and ready to go. So, waiting on those. And thing to note is on these three slots, you cannot put normal Meridian cards into there. If you notice, they're missing pins. So, let's go ahead and come on over to my stack of crap that I took out of my old cabinet. Start racking things up. So, first thing first, we've got my Call Pilot 201i. I'm working on fixing this, getting the OS put back in. So let's grab that. So this one, on the normal chassis, there would actually be a what should I call it? There would be kind of a blank slot right about here for like Meridian mail, that sort of thing. Now, this doesn't exactly have that. So what's probably going to happen, almost fell over because I bent down. It's probably just going to leave it like this, where it takes up 9 and 10. That way I lose a slot, but realistically there's not going to be a whole lot of actual phones running off of this, mostly just trunk and core cards. So go ahead, slot that in. Much easier to do with two hands. Make sure that's slotted in. Push up here, and just keep on. There we go. Now this one's in, so it would show up on slot 9, not slot 10. One thing to note with these cards is that you can actually, I don't want to take it back out to show, but there's an adjustable kind of riser between the two backplane connections on here. You have to adjust that. I don't know why it's there, but you have to adjust that for here. Alright, they're going again. Alright, so back over here, next card is the universal trunk card. I'm going to add a third one. This gets you about, I think, 8 trunks, because it's skip. Yeah, 8 trunks. 1 transformer per trunk. Why do I need so many trunks? Realistically, I don't. But I'm planning some cool stuff. I might use these. Or I might swap them out for analog cards. Because what's probably going to happen is I might run tone remote through here, and then over SIP, which goes out over here, or the next card that I have, which is, well, not the next card, but let's skip this card. We have this one. This one is a TMDI card. It does T1 and, well, it does DTI and PRI, not T1. T1 is a separate card, which I will eventually, I might get, might not, who knows. It's basically a digital trunk card, which is actually a separate card. These clips in here, make sure it's seated correctly, and then get these older style clips in. There we go. So this one, to do PRI, you have to have the clock card in there. It's just a daughter card. You only need one per, I think it's either one per system or one per chassis. I'm going to go with, for a CS1000, it's one per chassis, because these only transport voice, realistically. I think they transport a few other things over IP, but yeah, because all these do is take the older signals that these are sending out, because these are from, I mean, some of these cards are from the 90s, which is all TDM backplane connections. Then here, this is listening to those backplane connections, and then transmitting over CLAN and ELAN, or customer LAN and equipment LAN. Customer LAN is just your normal network, and then equipment LAN is only for these, which I need to somehow figure out how to get now a second dedicated LAN connection. Probably going to do it over VLANs, honestly, which would probably be the easiest, but I need to get another switch. Yeah, so basically it just takes that and talks between other MGC cards to then reconvert it to TDM signals. So, moving on, we have, it's labeled as an MC8, but with what it has on the card, well, the board specifically, this is a MyRAN card. It's basically a recorded announcement and music card, for like music on hold, that sort of thing. Just gonna go ahead and slot you in there, press firmly, and then make sure these are locking. This has the newer style clips versus the older long boys. So there's that. I'll put those two right next to each other. So now I've got 3 more slots. Now, I could leave them blank, but that would look weird. So what I'm probably gonna do is pull out some of these bad boys, because I have a bunch of these. These are analog line cards with message waiting. Has about 16 lines per card, and the message waiting part is basically on some phones, if it has like a voicemail, this can shoot out, I think it's like negative 120 volt at 80, well, shoot, I forget what it is. It's like negative 120 at something. And basically pops up a little light. You don't find it on on all phones, but some phones have it. And this phone has, well, this card has the capability to do it. There's another analog line card that doesn't. This one does. These are the most common ones. So in this case, if my call pilot over here, which does voicemail, it does IVR, and because I've got 4 of these babies, you don't have to do like the touch tone, button-based one. I can make it where it does voice recognition, which is actually really freaking cool. And yeah, so if this one has a message for an extension on here, this can send out negative 120 or negative 180, I forget which one. I think it's configurable. And it pops up a light telling the user, hey, call the call pilot. You got a message. On digital lines, it doesn't matter because Nortel phones have a built-in feature to do it. So, and speaking of, this is a digital line card. I'm not going to use this specific one because it's dusty as heck, like very dusty. I have another one that's in my Meridian 1 chassis that's inside. So that one's going to go in here. And then, of course, it leaves me with 1 extra slot. So what am I going to fill it up with? I'm going to fill it up with another analog line card with message waiting. So this is a newer one. You can tell, here's the components there. Here's components here. So this one that I have in here already is an AK. This one's a BB. They're different releases within that classification, but yeah. Let's see. think I only have AKs or BBs, so I really can't show. There's another one with another different set of components. But yeah, put that in there. Still with the long boy. There's that. So these, I think, are the original ones from like 98-ish. And then these ones came out roughly 2000s, 2002. So stuff's different on them. Then, of course, there's different revisions of these. But I think yeah, these are all BBs. So they all look the same. I don't think I have another revision of these ones. Media gateway's not all the way in. So yeah. If you look at... let me try and sit down. There we go. So yeah. Now we have everything but the digital line card, the 2C PPMs. I do need to get another network switch for this, because it's very Ethernet based, which is fine. These are not Ethernet ports. Only these two are. These are all RJ45 connectors that you need to break out to like DB9s for serial connections. So these three up here go to the MGC. These two go to this first call pilot slot. These two go to the second call pilot slot. This card also has a DB9 connector, but it's on a... Let's see if I can grab it. It's on a little dongle that you put on the Amphenol connector in the rear, which I'll show in a bit. So this gives you ELAN and TLAN, which is basically CLAN and ELAN, but changed names early on. And then it gives you a serial port to talk to this. You mostly only want to talk to it through LAN though, because it's got a nice web interface. So I'll put this in the back later. The call pilot also has serial ports and Ethernet ports. You can also look at it through KVM, solely because it's literally just a Windows server. No joke. So let's see. Here's the call pilot cable. It's got Amphenol grounding. This one's ELAN, so this goes to the ELAN switch. This one's DB9. And then this one's CLAN or TLAN, both. So yeah, this one just gets plugged into your normal outside network. So the cool part about the CS1000, like what I'm doing here, which is realistically, it's still Meridian 1, it's just an upgrade, is it does voice over IP. So a lot of these will become redundant, and they'll just be for show, eventually. Because I'll just do SIP trunking. So, yeah. We'll go ahead and snap that back on. There we go. Looks all nice. This one, if you can see in here, I'm gonna have to blur that out now, dang it. You can see all the lights for out of service and all that stuff. So if I were to turn this on, you'd see a bunch of red lights through here. So that's actually a pretty nice feature I like about this chassis. And of course you got the screw to lock for the tabs. These chassis also come in a Via branding, which is, Nortel much better. But yeah, let's go around to the back. Let me try and slip through here. Without falling, because I moved the rack a little bit. There we go. Yeah, it's not in a good spot. It'll be getting moved to a building eventually. Spin around. And if you keep on wondering why the F&E went down, this is why. It's now been zip tied, so this can't come unplugged. I will be fixing that eventually. So don't mind the mess. I'm temporarily using power bars. I'm working on getting some actual PDUs to go in here. and along with UPSs. So yeah, a lot of this is going to get moved here in a bit. So I'm moving some of the MCC equipment. I'm going to leave the CCGWs up front and move the switches back here. All the switches and the routers and stuff. That way I can move everything kind of up and fit the 6U that I need for my DIU 6000 rack case. So yeah, we have, these are also getting replaced with smaller ones that can do a whole lot more. They're just converted power supplies is what I'm going to replace these LMR ones with, solely because these take up way too much space and I can't really mount them well. Yeah. Yes, I know nothing's really grounded and this doesn't really count. What's grounded is solely only grounded because I was hearing audio whine issues on the motor bridge. That's it. That's the only reason why. It's not grounded that well, but, you know, working on it. I am getting grounding straps. Everything will be grounded nicely, like this, whenever I finish, you know, moving everything, get it to the final kind of form, well, final-ish form. I'll move everything, get it all nice and good. At least trying to cable manage a little bit. Back here we've got two switches, one managed, one unmanaged. This is for the iDRAC connections, just in case this goes down, everything goes down. This one goes off of this. Yeah, I know it's bad, but I want it to not rely on the same backhaul as this. That kind of defeat the point. So it's got its own separate backhaul, so I can access the iDRACs on both of my servers. I know this one's unplugged. I moved this up. Well, actually, I moved it down a little bit, so now the cable I was using doesn't really fit, and I will replace it. I just have to get around to it. But yeah, now we're at the back of the chassis. We've got the two large. This out of my way. We've got the two large power supplies. This one's failed. I have to get a new one. I will do that eventually. This one still works, so that's all I really care about, and it works fine. Passed self-test. This one I suspect I know the issue, but I'm not going to go crawling around the internals. I'll keep it just in case. So here we have stacking. I forget what this one is, and all the ports. So we're not going to ever use this one. It's weird that it's kind of like a screw-in expansion. I don't know why that is. But this one's never going to get used because the call pilot takes up both of these. So I put the call pilot cable here, ground it here, not here, never here. This is not a good grounding spot. And of course we got the MyRAN, and then all these would be connected to 66 blocks, or 110 blocks, depending on how I'm feeling. But yeah, here we have my T410, it's kind of dusty. I will be replacing this with a 2U or two 1U servers. Haven't decided yet. Yeah, might get like an R710 or another 510, but yeah, shoot, gosh dang it, too many Ethernet cables. Down here we've got my 510. This runs my kind of NAS in a sense. It's got a direct link between the two. I'm working on getting direct attached copper in here. Dusty. So they'll have basically a 40 gig connection between the two. So what I'd like to do with the rack, I'll move that, is eventually have between all the servers within the rack, 40 gig connection. Outside the rack, 1 gig connection, because it's going over not ideal conditions to get out. And I'm working on that. I'll eventually have fiber in here if I can figure out a way to do it, but yeah, I'm working on it. Got on here 2 link aggregation ports. So this can actually saturate, you know, the bandwidth I've got going to it. I can get about 2.5 gig into the switch from the backhaul, which is nice. So yeah, I don't have a router in here besides the MCC stuff, but I will, just to segregate this rack from the rest of my network, I'm going to be having basically a pfSense firewall just to kind of separate the two. I've got direct attached copper connection to the HP switch for the MCC. Yes, I know it should be on its own separate one, but I'm going to have a port back here that goes into one of these to act for ZeroTier, so I can actually connect the other sites virtually over VPN. OpenVPN doesn't work because it doesn't support broadcast packets, and for those of you who know how Motorola systems work, you know exactly why that's an issue. And for those who don't, basically, on Motorola Astro systems, the voice traffic is broadcast. It's not individually, this console, this console, this console, it is just, bam, everyone, all at once. Very bandwidth efficient, so I'll give it that. But creates issues if you're trying to go over a VPN. So thus, ZeroTier, because ZeroTier actually it supports well, it emulates a broadcast packet. So yeah, that's nice. This server right now runs the OMC for MotoBridge. Speaking of, if you are Centrunk Gold, you'll be getting access to that very soon. Just have to finish VLANing everything and getting my networking up to spec. And then we've got 3 more Ethernet ports going to my LAN. This one's the ZeroTier gateway for the OMC, and then these 2 are just various VMs that I wanted to have their own connection, just in case in the future I'm going to move them to ZeroTier or VPN or something. And no, those VMs, I can't directly put ZeroTier or another VPN on there, because reasons I'm not going to go into. But yeah, right now it's just sitting on some of those tray adapters. I don't have rails or a rack kit for this, which is why I want to replace it. This one doesn't have rails yet because they're in my PO box, and I'm too lazy to go and get them. Plus, I think it's after, let's see, what time is it? I think the post office is already closed. It's only 9:27. I could probably run down there and get them, but I'm not making a video for that because I'm already gonna look stupid enough posting this and my mess, and yeah, so I'm not gonna humiliate myself by trying to put rails on. Yeah. Notice there's not going to be any space for UPS in here. That's because it's going in a separate rack. For this rack initially, since it's got everything in it, it's going to have some UPSs just kind of set beside it. I'm not going to get the separate rack yet, but I'm not going to say a lot of this, but a good chunk of this is going to get moved to a building location in the next few months. Not my Nortel stuff, obviously, that stays here, but you know, some of the resources, possibly the RGU for MotoBridge, and then some of the MCC stuff. Probably, well, definitely a CCGW or 2. I'm probably going to get another S2500 CCGW. That way I can keep the GGM here. You know, get 2 S2500s, run about 8 resources remotely. From a good vantage point, and then have the GGM here so I can have the 4 V.24 ports for my my DIUs, and then the analog ports for the sound card output and input for DVM. So yeah, you know, it's not pretty, but it's mine and it works. Yes, I'm gonna fill that hole in with another Optiplex. So cheaper than servers, and I can do some, you know, if I want something to have bare metal access for various reasons, I'm just going to get Optiplexes. I'm probably going to take the 4-port out of this one, because this one's running the domain for CTRS right now. Probably going to put it in another one and run pfSense. So yeah, then we have Consulate, of course. That will eventually be removed, and replaced, because this is the send trunk connection. But then once we get DVM bridge working in a trunking environment, I'm just going to have a few optiplexes with a bunch of USB sound cards for DVM bridge directly to the Moto bridge, or Moto bridge and MCC. So yeah. And then of course I got to fit a few more servers in here for the MCC, but you know, we'll get there when we get there. Other than that, that's basically it. You know. Yeah, that's that. Feel free to ask questions in the comments, and I'll go over them. Yeah, I know this is supposed to be a Nortel video, but we got sidetracked. Yeah.